So today I'm interviewing Pierce, who is a college freshman. She has come to the mental health clinic for help with generalized anxiety, and I am going to be using a CBT approach to help her, and that's it. So I'm Amy, and
Hi, Amy.
I'm glad you're here, and tell me a little bit about yourself. What's going on? What brought you here today?
Well, I just moved here to go to school, to go to college, and I don't have any friends, and I'm just like having a really hard time meeting people and making friends, and I've just noticed that like I start to feel really like anxious and panicky, like in class, like if I feel like I might have to talk to somebody, or if I might have to talk like in front of the class or answer a question or something to the teacher. And like in like groups, any kind of group really, I just start to feel like really like panicky and stuff, and so it's been really hard for me to meet people and make friends. I just feel like nobody likes me, and it's making me really lonely.
Yeah. So I'm glad you came, and I'm glad that these issues, that you thought about this and that you want to address it, because it really is a big step and really a courageous step. So this is a good thing that you came today. So when you think about being in groups and you think about being in class, what kind of goes on? What kind of goes on in your mind? Like some of the thoughts that you think, or some of the things that you're feeling?
Like when I think about being in groups, or when I'm actually in a group?
Both.
Okay. Well, when I'm in a group, I just kind of clam up and I shut down, and I don't really interact with people that much. And even just like when I think about being in groups, like I don't want to be, like I don't want to be around a bunch of people. I just feel like if I have to talk to somebody, I'm probably gonna say something stupid, and then they're gonna like judge me and like not want to be around me, and then it might be even worse. I might be even more lonely because people might like talk bad about me or make fun of me or something like that, and say that I'm stupid or whatever.
Yeah. So when you are in a group setting or you're in class, do you notice that you have like some physical feelings that you feel, like body sensations, or is it more what you're thinking in your mind?
Well, like my heart starts to race, and I feel kind of like sweaty and clammy, and sometimes I feel kind of like jittery, like nervous, like shaking a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mostly that kind of thing.
So when you have those feelings, do you kind of stay in the situation, or do you find yourself leaving or avoiding it?
I mean, I can't leave class, unfortunately, so I just have to stay, like if it's in class or something, but I just like, I don't know, like I don't go to any parties or anything. I just avoid those kinds of situations, and I just like try to avoid like being in groups and stuff.
Well, how do you feel with your roommate in the dorm? Are you feel safe and feel at ease and relaxed there?
It's a little easier because it's just one person, and we've been living together now for a couple months since school started, so it's a little easier to talk to her.
Yeah. So thinking about being in a group, or thinking about maybe having to give a presentation, and maybe even having what we call anticipatory anxiety around those situations, what do you notice that are some of your thoughts that you might kind of tend to focus on?
Well, I'm just afraid that like if I have to say something to, like if I have to give a presentation, that would be horrifying. I'm just afraid that I would say something stupid or make a fool out of myself. And just the same with like being in groups, like I'm just afraid to talk because I just know I'm going to say the wrong thing.
Yeah. So before the event even happens, kind of that inner dialogue might get going, like I'm about to be in this situation, or I'm about to be in class and I'm going to make a fool out of myself. If somebody really sees me, they may not like me. And you start kind of getting those types of thoughts before the event or before the group setting, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like even if I can manage to talk to somebody, I'm just going to say the wrong thing, and then they're just going to like think less of me, and that kind of thing.
Has that ever happened?
I don't know. I mean, I'm from a small town, so like I felt more comfortable. All the people that I went to school with there, I grew up with them, so I got to know them over a long period of time. So I felt more comfortable expressing myself to them because I'd seen them go through so much stuff, and they'd seen me go through so much stuff. So I don't know if that's ever happened in the past. It just maybe feels like maybe this is a new situation, and so it's hard.
Yeah.
But I guess like even when I was like in high school, like when I was 14 or 15, if I was out of that environment, out of my small town, like I would start to feel anxious about having to talk to people.
So when you think about a thought like, no one will like me, I'm going to be embarrassed here, or I'm going to maybe won't be seen, or I might be ignored, and you can start projecting how that thought might play out, or even how the scenario might play out. What would be like your worst case scenario? Like if you think about that, like you're in a group and you're start to get those thoughts, and what would be just the worst case you could imagine?
I mean, I guess I just am afraid that what's going to happen is I'm going to talk to somebody and I am going to say something stupid, and then, they're just not going to really like understand me, or they're going to think that I'm lame, or like they won't appreciate me or like value me or anything like that.
Yeah. So if they don't value you or they don't appreciate you, then what could happen? Like what do you imagine? Like they might like just walk away in the middle of a sentence, or maybe just like walk away and think something negative, or
yeah, I mean they could go tell other people that I'm lame or whatever, and then everybody could just like decide that I'm lame, and then even less people would want to talk to me, and I'd have even fewer friends than I have now, which is 0. So I guess like
yeah. Well, we all have like these different thoughts. We all have them about ourselves, and these thoughts sometimes are like at the surface, but then when we go like a little bit deeper and we kind of think about those thoughts, and we can talk more about this in later sessions together, but sometimes those surface thoughts can really be on a deeper level, like kind of like an inner belief that we have about ourselves. Like you're very athletic, so you have like an inner belief, I'm a strong athlete. And so that helps you in your athletic performance, and that kind of works the same way with thoughts. So if you have a thought like, I'm going to open my mouth in this group and everyone or whoever I'm talking to is going to think I'm really dumb, or they're not going to see me, or they're going to talk about me later. Where do you think underneath that thought, what might kind of be going on inside? Do you have any ideas about that?
I mean, I don't know. I guess I feel like in the past, like people haven't really like valued me or appreciated me or wanted to like know me or things like that.
So when you think about those times in the past when they didn't value or appreciate you, do you have anything that comes to mind that's maybe where that thought started, or that belief system?
The only thing I could think of right off the top of my head is that when I was 12, my dad left my mom, and my dad and I were really close. We used to play sports and stuff together. And Jackson! We used to play sports together, and he used to take me fishing and camping and stuff like that. And then after he left, he never talked to me again. Like he didn't even call on my birthday or send me a card or anything like that. And to this day, I don't even know like where he is or what's happening with him. So that happened, and then my best friend Katie, I told her about it and stuff, and we were in middle school at the time, and she kind of like ran her mouth and told a bunch of people that like my dad had left my mom for another woman.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, like it made it's kind of a scandal because we were from a small town, sure. And so then like all the kids used to like make fun of me and my mom and our family, and it just made me feel like that I was like wrong or defective or something in some way, like my family was wrong.
Sure. Yeah. And that's really painful.
Yeah.
And especially in our middle school years, everything just, it's such a sensitive time when we're growing up and seeing who we can depend on, and especially if your dad was such a central person for you, that would just have been such a major loss.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you probably felt so abandoned, and you probably even felt like, does he see me? Does he see me? Does he remember that he loved me, or who did I matter to him?
Yeah,
Those
it really
kind of
hurt
feelings.
it really hurt my feelings that he never tried to reach out to maintain a relationship with me.
Yeah. And then now you've made like this big step. You've moved away from home, and you're a college freshman, and so you're trying all these new things, and so this anxiety is kind of flaring up because maybe underneath all of that is always that little central worry that's maybe staying with you, like, could somebody leave that I really love, or what if they saw me and then they all talk about me and judge my situation or judge my anxiety, or even if I showed someone my anxiety, like you did with your friend when you were in middle school, where you confided in her that you were struggling and with things at home, and then she disclosed that to other people. That'd be really painful. So that kind of like inner little thing that gets developed inside, that little belief system, like I can't maybe share with someone, or I can't really show myself because they might make fun of it, or I might, at the worst end of it, the worst possible part would be I'd be rejected. Like maybe that's how it felt with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that might be helpful just in this session, since we're just meeting for the first time, is to talk a little bit about how our feelings and our thoughts, how they kind of are related. And so we can have a feeling, and then when that feeling gets started, then that thought can surface right away. So like the feeling that you might be in a group setting and you might have the thought that everyone's going to think I'm like really insignificant, or that I don't matter, and then that's going to start generating kind of some physical symptoms too. So we can talk about maybe just for today the idea of like just kind of tracking those thoughts. And one of the ways that is really helpful in doing it, and it kind of seems really simple but helps a lot of people, especially with anxiety, is that maybe when you notice that you're having a thought, like if you're sitting in class and you have a thought like, gosh, I hope the professor doesn't call on me because I'm going to really look stupid in front of everyone and they're going to judge me and have thoughts about me, then like you could just keep a piece of paper close by, always kind of handy, or even use your phone, and just jot that feeling down, that thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thought might be, I'm going to look stupid if I answer this question. And then when you have time, just kind of think about that, and then write a response to that. And I'm sure you can think of, or maybe can you think of some times when you have said something and it was wrong and it worked out okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
What would be an example of that? Like,
I mean, like, you know, being called on in class and giving like the wrong answer to a math question or something like that, and
Yeah.
the teacher just kind of says, nope, that's not it, and moves on.
and how'd you feel when that happened?
I'm a little bit embarrassed, but
And it happens to other kids too.
yeah, it does.
And sometimes even in big ways. Like if you think about dating, you know, sometimes we can be in dating situations and it can be really embarrassing. So there's times when things like that can happen, but the worst case scenario, which is everyone will know, everyone will see that I'm stupid, or everyone won't see who I really am. You know, those kind of thoughts that rumble around in those anxious times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are what we call catastrophizing. So it's kind of like if you have a thought and maybe you do get called on in class and the answer's wrong, and so if you jot that thought down, right away, and then what you can do is write an answer or write a response to that thought, and it might stop if with practice. You can just try it. Kind of stop that almost like flooding that happens where it can go from, oh my gosh, I answered that wrong. I'm such an idiot. I will never have friends. I won't, those things that we can say or that sometimes can happen. So you can stop that thought or write that thought down, and then you can maybe say to yourself or write it down, I just messed up. And the worst scenario didn't happen. So this is just little baby steps, and just the first steps are just noticing the thoughts, because a lot of those thoughts can sometimes, and a lot of the times, they're just wrong. So how does that idea sound to you, just jotting those thoughts down?
So can you explain it again? You want me to just write down my thoughts and I'm having them, and then do what?
And so let's just say, using your example of if you're in class, or we'll go to, like, since your goal is to be able to go to this concert and be in a group.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're thinking about going to the concert and you think about being in a crowd, and you think about that, it starts giving you this thought, like, what if I get around a group of people and I am getting really anxious, like some body symptoms, like everybody's going to see me, and maybe I'm going to say something really stupid, or they're going to talk about me because they think I'm stupid. So you might write those 3 thoughts down, just thinking about the concert.
Mm-hmm.
So you might write down, if someone sees me for who I am, they're going to think I'm stupid. And then underneath that thought, you can write a counter thought. If they see me or I say something wrong, I'm okay.
Okay.
I can still be at the concert. I can move into a different area. I can just ignore how other people look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Or a thought what would be an example of a thought maybe that you could think of that would be a counter thought to, they're going to think I'm stupid?
Maybe something like, not everybody that I talk to thinks I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Or even a thought like, I'm not stupid. I'm just like everyone else. Sometimes I say things that are smart, and sometimes I say things that are kind of silly.
Yeah.
But I'm okay.
Okay.
And then if you think about another thought, which might be, I am going to give a presentation next week in my English class, and that generates a lot of feelings inside, a lot of anxiety feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Just start with just jotting down all of the feelings that you might have that are generating some of that underlying anxiety. Like, I'm going to get in front of the class and make a fool out of myself, or really mess up.
Mm-hmm.
So you could write that thought down, and then under that thought, write, I'll be prepared. I may stumble around. I might forget what I'm supposed to say, but I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound?
I guess that sounds okay.
And another thing is, since you exercise, a second little tool that you could work on this week, and we can talk about it too next week in more detail, is before your presentation or before you're in a group, just taking a few moments to just calm your breathing and just calm your, sort of like your nervous system. And I can teach you some things next week about how to do that. And that might sort of, before you're in a situation, give you a little bit of a calming skill, so you can relax yourself before. I think one of the things that can happen sometimes with anxiety is that a lot of times we anticipate the event, and that's what will generate the anxiety before it starts.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.